Hey everybody, welcome to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta. I have no co-host today because I'm doing this for myself and for you. What we're doing here is, well, I didn't think I was getting the full appreciation of Gundam 00 from the anime itself. So I thought what I would do is I would delve into the manga. I believe someone suggested that some time ago. So here I am going at it. And when I asked, it was said that the start of the manga was 00F. So here we are. So without much to do, let's just jump on into it. So this is the cover page to our newest dive into the Gundam 00 franchise, 00F. No idea what the F stands for. We kind of have the same ignorance when it comes to our Symphogear reactions, as all those shows dive into a letter combo naming scheme as well. We also have a small credit to Zionic translations and scans. I will say that Zionic is my preferred place to go for scans and translations. We do use them for. Sorry, my brain just. I was about to say Vinland Saga. Vanada's Heart. On to the rest of our cover page, we see our newest edgelord, a spiky-haired blonde with red eyes, wearing a choker and a some serious handcuff action going on. I mean, I was gonna mimic for you, but I've remembered I'm using push to talk. Really restrained where my hands can go. So I guess our newest pilot is a straight-up criminal. Behind him is some sort of holographic image of another Gundam. That or it's a gummy Gundam. Gummy Bear Gundams. Then behind that is another Gundam with a display on its head reading GNY 004 Gundam Plutone. I'm sure somebody can let me know if I'm saying that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's based off of Pluto. Then it's not Plut 1, so I'm going to go with Plutone until corrected. On the next page, we seem to get a refresher of the first scenes in the first episode of the series, with a small interlude from our new character, grinning and seeming to enjoy what is happening, as he breaks out in laughter as Setsuna uses the Exia to rip off the arm of some other mobile suit. The title of the chapter is also here, Another Gundam Meister. It doesn't look like the very first scene from the anime where he charges down from space and like chops the arm off. For some reason, to me, it almost looks like a Zaku, like it's a filler mobile suit. So we'll get on with that. Our title page spread happens on page 3 as we get a split of the main 4 Gundam Meisters that we spend time on in the show on one side, with the space elevator seeming to form a divide in the middle line between them, and our new boy and his Gundam. Since the previous page was from the very first episode, I'd have to guess that would be the AEU elevator being represented. Otherwise, I'd just like to say that our new guy reminds me of Dark Schneider from the series Bastard. Very first anime series that I ever bought on VHS. Or, anyway, he looks like Dark Schneider or whatever the Gundam reimagining of him would look like. I'll probably pop up an image of Dark Schneider here in the editing process so you know what the hell I'm talking about if you don't. The last colored page of the intro seems to lay out who the cast of this series will be. A white-haired woman with a scar running down the side of her face that somehow reminds me of Bella Laika from Black Lagoon. Another editing prompt for me to probably pop up an image of Bella Laika over here. And I, of course, will just be referring to these people as the names that I have in my head until they get named on the screen. Another guy who seems to be expressing nervousness, a small blonde girl hiding behind a yellow Niku Haru. and our Dark Schneider ripoff. Each of them is expressing some sort of in text indicating who they are or what their goal is. Bella Laika is going to fulfill a promise to a friend. Nervous Guy is going to try and be the next Setsuna. The girl is pulling a shy routine and just holding a Haru. And Dark Schneider is being Dark Schneider. He is true to the bastard naming scheme that I've given him. There also seems to be a hint of a logo in the background with the word Ferchet visible. Ferchet being Persian for angel, and the logo seems to have angel wings coming off of it, so I feel fairly vindicated. That's what they're going for. Let's see. The next page is another reintroduction to Gundam to Below, with a speech given at the start of the show, with Scheinberg making his recorded announcement, giving off the existence of the celestial being, who they are, as well as showing Exia's descent down the AU space elevator. Next page shows us our team watching both the announcement and Exia's descent. One screen also seems to be showing a ship in deep space, assumedly celestial beings base. Name escapes me at the moment, not named here, so moving on. The nervous guy from the cover almost looks manically excited as he says that it's started. Bella likely, well, I am just flummoxed today, I tell you what. Bella likely agrees, while Dark Schneider sits awkwardly on some pole thing in the back of the room, watching as well. I'm guessing that their asteroid base must be set up for movement or something. Because it really looks like those bar things are like one on each side of the room, right? And they're like, grip, right? We're in a bad place. Grip the bars. So I have no idea what that's about. But he's sitting on them. Let's see. Then we have the Exia landing and cuts the arm off the new mobile suit that was being shown off at the first episode, as opposed to the one that we saw before in the other panel. The nervous guy returns to biting his thumb, which seems to be his default stance in a bunch of these, lamenting the fact that he's not one piloting the Exia. Bella name drops the guy as Echo Calore, as she tells him to watch closely as Celestial Being has made its move. We get another page showing the main team together beside Bella Laika, as she says the name that was on the logo before, Fericete, or Angels, and I'm just probably gonna, instead of butchering the Persian name for it, just gonna keep calling them Angels from now on, as we can all understand that's what's going on here. Declaring that their fate is tied to theirs, she then closes her eyes to note something, but in the art style given, it was beyond me what that was meant to be. We seem to do that a lot in this so far. That we get this like sketch art style of like close-ups that's meant to imply emotion or intent. Sometimes I'm just not that good at this. Page 9 shows that maybe the Thorns team was the only one that ever got along for reals, as the Angels spend their time arguing with one another. Echo starts by calling the mission honorable, talking to Bella Laika with some nervous energy implied by his features, when Dark Schneider laughs at him and sets him off. Echo shouts at him, calling him an asshole, and asking what the attitude is about. Schneider finishes Echo's thought by asking him what he could possibly get from the recorded message. Still shouting, Echo says it's to understand celestial beings' principles and ideals. Schneider calls Echo an old man, despite him not appearing to be much different in age, before calling him fucking stupid. I think this is the part where I really like this team more than the main team. It's just they have an energy about them and a I don't know, an interaction level that makes more sense to me, given what I'm used to seeing in both anime in general and Gundam shows. Plus the fact that 2 out of the 4 characters shown have the same feel and energy as other anime I've really liked. I don't know, it just speaks to me more than Gundam Below did in like the first couple of episodes. Alright. Our criminal seems to shake with laughter before saying that ideals cannot change things. Bella looks unhappy at this, then seems regretful as her eyes move from Schneider's choker to his cuffs before we get revealed what Schneider's real name, or code name for that matter, really is. Fawn Spark, as she shouts it at him. Also, Fawn Spark, cool name. Not gonna take away that I'm not calling him Schneider anymore from here on, but Fawn Spark, I like it. Evidently, the cuffs don't really prevent you from doing much with your hands, as Fawn just walks up to the computer, types some stuff up, and brings up the schematics for the Enact. The model of a mobile suit that was being shown off in the first episode, than the same one that the Exia attacks. Fawn explains that it was the target of the first mission and explains why it is different from previous mobile suits. Apparently, it's supposed to be the orbital elevator. It's supposed to use the orbital elevator as a power source. Otherwise, it's just a souped-up Union flag, as they've described it. So destroying it during its reveal would leave the impression of how superior Gundam is. The next page is a spread where Fawn goes on to explain the point of the mission and essentially everything that happened in the first episode that really never got explained verbally, which I appreciate. Such is the matter that all the forces launched to counter the Gundam exceeded the amount that apparently some treaty that we don't really get told about said were legal, which was revealed to the world due to the expected coverage of the enacts, the way it was showing off for like cameras and a bunch of people from various companies and countries. He also makes a note that the AU's orbital elevator is still under construction and behind schedule, which I believe we covered on the show reaction. Moving on to cover the second mission. During the second mission, the terrorist attack on the HRL's orbital elevator. Fawn says the point is to show that celestial being intervenes not only in military disputes, but also in immoral acts, which, we had our whole debate about soccer hooligans before, so I guess kind of leaning in on that. The added benefit of the second mission, though, was that the terrorists spent most of their money on mobile suits and could only afford a half the amount of missiles, making them such an easy threat that the HRL themselves could have handled it. In an attempt to argue that last point, Echo says that everyone can see the strength of the Gundams, to which Fawn agrees that it was an excellent introduction to the Gundams to the world. With a concerned look on her face, Bella says that he and Echo are Angel Gundam Meisters, and asks why he's being so malevolent towards a celestial being. Fawn gives a serious look for a moment before going back to his shit-eating grin. Again, he's just totally Dark Schneider with the Gundam skin on top. In the last panel, we have Scheinberg stating his final statements as side by side, Fawn states that he doesn't sympathize with the old man's ideals. But if you've been watching our reactions and commentary, I'm on Fawn Spark's side. Suddenly feeling superior, Echo states that he wouldn't expect more from a felon. That Fawn only knows how to follow his own ambitions, that he is handcuffed for life, which I guess implies whatever the hell his crime was, and that those ambitions are futile as there's no way to start them, which I guess further, implies there's no rehabilitation in the Gundam future. We put these cuffs on you for life. You've got no life ahead of you. Bond seems to go quiet for a second before giving his retort that while he doesn't agree with the old man's ideals exactly, he thinks the idea of changing the world with Gundams is quite interesting. And, I think Bond is just going off on his whole power trip fantasy at that point, Give me a Gundam and I can do anything. Jumping on the control console, Fawn sits with his back to Scheinberg as he talks about how everyone has wondered about how the world would change with their own power. Thing I just saying. And indicates that he also wonders what kind of world he should turn it into. The next page reiterating this, that this is all he cares about, and how he and the Gundam will change the world. Suddenly I've got this anime theme song in my head. I can't remember what it is, what show it's for. Just change the world. Erko goes manic once again, calling Fawn a fool and pointing out how difficult changing the world really is. Fawn disregards this and seems to relish the fact that it is difficult to the stunned faces of Echo and Balalaika. Fawn goes on to say that he is already involved and has no interest in pulling simple tricks on them. Then, for some reason, finds this funny and starts laughing loudly. This is a character trait of Fawn's that we will see apparently throughout the series, I guess, because he does it constantly. Echo looks confused and nervous, but Balalaika remains unconcerned, saying that even if he lacks the ideals they follow, they can still be use of them, and that she could make use of him. The last page of this gives a funny stare down between Fawn and Balalaika, with Scheinberg's recording being included in the zoom in for some reason. I mean, sometimes I feel like they use Scheinberg as a prop. Like he knew he'd be recorded in the middle of a scene where other people would be staring at people. That sort of ridiculousness. Let's see. The next page starts looking out over an asteroid somewhere in Earth's orbit. A sound effect being shown that I have no idea what it is. Unfortunately, I can't read the language being shown, and it was not a translated sound effect. So, Balalaika is busy working on something as she begins recounting the past. How Scheinberg spent hundreds of years setting up Celestial Being and the Gundams. The next segment moves to her personal history, as we see a shot of a younger version of her with shadows of Gundams in the background. She recounts how she was scouted by the organization and aided in Gundam's development before moving on to create the Angels to support Celestial Being with the permission of Veda. So it seems like Veda has to vet anything anybody does related to Celestial Being and the whole organization. Angel's only purpose is stated to be supporting the actions of Celestial Being. To support that, they possess 4 Gundams. For the last 2 panels, she's been monologuing her way down a hallway, and as she approaches her destination, she introduces herself finally as Chal Akusta, the leader of Angel. Confusingly, the small girl child. Sorry, sometimes I'm an idiot when it comes to describing things. The small child from the cover is also right where she's talking, making me super confused to the fact that she claims it as her current self, and it took me like a minute to understand that she meant that is her new code name, because everybody has a real name and a code name, and I guess it's maybe all the weird shows that we watch on this channel. I half expected her to mean the small child was her new self. So, grain of sand, sometimes my thoughts don't mean jack shit. Alright, the next scene is that of Hangar Bay, where the first of their 4 Gundams is held. The as of yet unnamed child calls it the Astrasia, which is the ancient Greek deity of justice, innocence, purity, and precision. Chal announces that the mission plan has been received from Veda, which is clearly what she was going over in the previous panel where she's hunched over the screen. I thought maybe she was going to be our new tactics officer, I guess, what you would call her in the main show. But I guess she's just getting her reports from Veda directly. They are to attack the HRL troops, which I found to be an interesting use of words. Given the ideals and Scheinberg's speech, I would have expected them to say intervene on or defend against, but she just says straight up attack. In the background, Fawn and Echo are just floating around the Gundam, waiting for this, it seems. So they're just prepped for duty and having fun. Crossing the bay towards Shawl, Echo asks if the HRL detected celestial being space, clearly inquiring to the meaning of the attack. Bond, being our point man when it comes to exposition, back and forth between him and Shawl. About to call it Bellalaika again. It's hard. These people are just their namesakes for me. He calls Echo a dumbass and explains that attacking the HRL is obviously a distraction to keep their attention elsewhere. Shaw commands Fawn to launch in the Astria, which causes Echo another nervous fit, as he suggests that he was supposed to be the Gundam Meister. I assume he means the Gundam Meister for this mission, because obviously they've already both been named Gundam Meisters for Angel. We see Echo lose his grip and fly off across the hangar as Fawn swoops in to ask Shaw if Shaw is sure, and that he can't go in the Astria, but he'll go in the Pluton instead. Also, Pluton is the Italian form of the Roman god Pluto. In this case, specifically, I believe the form known as the Giver of Wealth. Shaw looks shocked, and we get a one-panel flashback of her in some sort of distress before she dejectedly repeats the name of the Gundam. I think pointedly, I should make a note here out loud at least that in her flashbacks of her younger self, she doesn't have the scars. So, I mean, one could assume that maybe the Pluton had something to do with her getting the scars, or maybe she was piloting it during a thing that went wrong. But yeah, she seems to have some sort of PTSD in relation to the Pluton. The next spread we see starts with Shaw claiming that the Pluton is on restricted use, and she tries to deny Fawn access. Fawn gets a determined look in his eye and shocks Shaw by crossing the distance between them, apparently knocking the pad out of her hands as he cups her face to stare at her. I believe the line art is meant to be that they're doing an eye-to-eye thing. And he quite accurately claims that there seems to be a strong connection between her and that Gundam. We then get a series of line art drawn faces used to express the differing levels of emotion going on here. And what I read as the focus on each other's eyes and a stare down that seems to be crossing over from the previous panel. As Fawn asks her if she is frightened or filled with hate in regards to that Gundam. I think something to remember in this moment is that Shaw previously stated that she worked on assembling the Gundams or building them up, or something of that text. So her relation to it might not be as a pilot, but I mean, given that she has the scar and she was wearing a piloted costume in even previous panels, that's where I'm going with it. But all Shaw can do in this moment is stammer back that Gundam. Before she then gathers her composure enough to say that they can't reveal the existence of other Gundams beyond celestial beings, Fawn, being self-confidence incarnate, says, that'll be fine. Here we apparently also get the name for the Nikuharu, Hanyo. Fawn shouts Hanyo's name to confirm the conversation they just had with Veda, that there won't be a problem if he just kills everyone that sees him. You know, because we Celestial Being Meisters, or I guess Angels Meisters, are such good people. Hanyo goes dark for a moment, but confirms there will be no problem. Fawn launches off deeper into the hangar, shouting back that he will change Shaw's past self with her Pluton, suggesting she was the former pilot before whatever happened to her happened. In the next spread, we see that Pluton is the fourth Gundam in the lineup. In the cockpit, Fawn Spark identifies himself, and Hanyo confirms the identification, seeming to scan his eyes. For the first time, we see Fawn have his handcuffs released, immediately laughs and rubs the shit out of his hair, saying how good it feels. Thereafter, Fawn launches from the asteroid base, once again laughing maniacally, as we see the telltale sign of GN particles trailing from behind the Pluton. I will say, as an introduction to characters, I rather like this one. I like that the characters are identifiable to me from a 90s anime standpoint, or I guess 90s, 2000s, Bastard to Black Lagoon. They all have those similar traits from characters that I would have expected. I mean, I know there are like baseline character traits and it's not much to work with, but I still feel like I connected more to them than I did the original Gundam Meisters. That could be entirely on me. I know viewers of the reaction series will say, yeah, that is entirely you. You suck ass at this. Well, I'm trying. That's what I'm doing. But, yeah. We're getting background information from the first few episodes that wasn't implicitly said, I felt like. They were meant to read into, and I'm just not that good at reading into things. So I appreciate having a secondary series basically telling me, hey, this is what's going on, this is why this is good, this is why it was good that this thing happened. Like the treaty thing, I would never have figured that out on my own. Maybe somebody said it in the episode and I missed it, and then nobody made a comment about it, and I continued to have missed it. So, good job, show. We're getting backstory crap right off the bat, and I'll appreciate that. That Shaw has some sort of hidden backstory when it comes to the Pluton, so, I don't know. Back in my head now, I'm thinking maybe like the Pluton has a mind of its own or something. Because it's the, when we got shown the Astrea doesn't seem to have like this compartment in its head thing where it can read off text. Whereas the Pluton, I don't know, maybe that was just for the cover, maybe not. It does seem to have a longer head section. So maybe it has a different computer system inside. What else? Also kind of got G Gundam feel here. They got the Russian guy and the G Gundam pilots who's also like chained up a lot of the time, and has to have a almost similar kind of person to Shaw release him to go pilot because he's a criminal too. So I don't know if that's a callback or something, but that's something I felt there. I appreciate that they also explain that the reason that we're attacking the HRL is to cause a distraction. And it kind of made me feel like the Thrones thing again. So, I don't know. We'll see if we're going to pull another Thrones there, if they're being run around by somebody else. I don't know, though, because I think the Thrones thing was a manipulation from that UN guy, and this time it seems like we're getting information directly from Veda before Veda gets hacked by the Thrones people. We still have the mysterious girl, who no idea what she's about, hasn't even been named yet, unless her name is Hanyo, and I'm just mixing up the guy shouting at her and the Haru responding. It doesn't seem right. Maybe she's one of those children that got telepathically exploited. That could be a thing there, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like they'd pull that a third time. I don't know. I don't know why don't think that they would pull that a third time. It just seems to me that I don't know, comedy works in threes, maybe drama works in threes. Yeah. Otherwise, I think I'm just blathering on now. I think those are all my thoughts. Overall, if I was gonna rate this like a number out of 10, compared only to the show, say we'll compare this only to the first episode, and then I'll start comparing these to each other, right? Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. So, Episode 1 of Gundam 00, ranked against this one, I give this one a 7 out of 10. Apropos of nothing, this Chapter 1, Gundam 00F, 7 out of 10. Would recommend if you like Gundam 00. Would recommend to Griff, I guess is my metric now. So, thank you for joining me. This has been Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, by myself. Thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?